William Edward Bourgat Dubois was born in 1868. He was an African American socialist, writer, and activist who studied with the most important thinkers at Harvard University. His mother was a domestic worker and his father was a barber. Dubois' father left him and his family at a very young age. He was born and raised in Great Barrington, Massachusetts. When he was only 16 years old, his mother passed away, and he was left alone with no money. To earn some money, he began to work as a timekeeper in a mill. That same year, he was the first African American to graduate from his high school. After high school, he attended Fisk University in Tennessee for 3 years. He later earned his BA and PhD from Harvard University. Since he had no one to teach him about his culture, he had to learn on his own. He learned everything in Nashville because he would see firsthand the effects of racism. This period in his life shaped his beliefs and ideas on the race relations that would last for the rest of his life. Because of this, he became a pioneer of the civil rights movement. He was also a founding officer of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, which is also known as the NAACP. Dubois resigned from the NAACP in June of 1934 because of over-organizational policy and direction. In the 1950s, he was drawn into leftist causes, including chairing the Peace Information Center. The center's refusal to comply with an act led to his indictment with 4 others by the jury in 1951. After the rumors and shunning from his colleagues, Dubois settled in Ghana in 1961. He began to work on the Encyclopedia Africana, which was the information on Africans and the people of African descent throughout the world. After he joined the American Communist Party and became a citizen of Ghana, where he died in 1963. During his career, he published 19 books, he edited 4 magazines, and produced articles and speeches. He would edit a magazine called The Crisis each month, and his most outstanding work was Souls of Black Folk, which was written in 1903. He clashed on occasion with other black leaders like Booker T. Washington and Marcus Garvey. He would later be known to have a very big impact on education.
For many blacks post-slavery, education would be a scarce resource for all, but would be a turning point if and when accessed for the status as a fully recognized citizen. For the 20th century, Dubois would become an important and recognized figure for the educational realm. He would attend Fisk University in Nashville, Tennessee, and would graduate with a bachelor's in arts in 1888. Despite having been a college graduate, he would continue on to pursue a PhD from Harvard University while also making history as one of the first African Americans to do so. Unlike Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois believed that the colored children should educate themselves like everyone else due to the illiteracies that plagued most of the colored people. He wanted them to better themselves as opposed to Washington's plan to simply practice their place in the newly found Jim Crow laws. He did not want them to simply submit and go by the rest of their lives, and so he wanted to empower the people to go above such ridiculous laws. Around 1897, Du Bois became a faculty member of the Atlanta University. He would publish studies related to sociological studies on African Americans, while later founding a journal about black studies known as Phylon, which would point out most of the injustices that black Americans faced during that time. Du Bois would later create the NAACP, which had the positive belief that all Americans were inherently entitled to equal rights. With the start and help of the NAACP, it has catapulted many advancements for equality and fairness in the educational field. It alone has helped desegregation, social equality, and higher education for African Americans. One of the most famous cases that the NAACP has participated in and won was Brown versus Board of Education in 1854, where it overturned the Plessy versus Ferguson, saying that being separate but equal was unconstitutional.
By now, you have probably already heard all of Dubois' early years and how he contributed to education. Besides being the greatest example of a Black intellect, a very busy author, and a not so good politician, he was perhaps the most hardworking Black man that believed Black people should want and gain more if they desired. He always fought for what he believed others should be fighting for. His greatest weapon was his pen. Dubois used his writing utensil with a vast knowledge and skill for specific insights in so many areas. This made all of his written work so profound and insightful. The amount of work he produced is so ample that it includes an army of writing in magazines, journals, books, pamphlets, and at last he was the collaborator for the first Encarta Africana, which was the first Black related encyclopedia and a dream of Dubois come true. He was such a controversial character that his autobiography was first published overseas in Russia before it was published in the US. Webb Dubois was not a dark colored Black, but a light skinned colored, and he did not grow up knowing firsthand what slavery was like. Dubois' persistence about educating Blacks and others in more than a trade gained popularity. This later became Dubois' ticket to travel and make speeches at peace conferences around the world. Dubois was known as the Renaissance man. His impeccable education, a profound knowledge of human history and culture, and a gentleman's good taste in art, music, and theater leads us to understand that Dubois' desires were only a philosopher's vision for a better humanity. Dubois' legacy overall was his career as a first-rate scholar activist through writing and organizing is unique in the modern era.